All right, so we had a basic chat before we started record here on security and use of email addresses in response. Do we tell folks when they try and log in that the email's in the system, you know, right email, wrong password kind of thing. So we're going to be a little more generic, a little more careful about that. I was just saying that I didn't get the unit test finished. There's stuff to do there, but I don't know that this is the right place to do that. I don't know that I want to do that today on here. So we've got some cool stuff going on the back end with the APIs and that kind of stuff. Well, maybe we'll poke at, I don't know if we're going to work on today. Maybe we'll poke at unit tests on the back end. But I know Dylan's working on the wiring up to front end to back end, and the database stuff that worked. Dylan, the cloud, wherever it
Yeah, I
was.
got it working.
Cool. I don't think we're giving anything away by showing it. So I wanted to go over there and look, and I forgot to do that the other day. Planetscale, that's what it was. I wanted to look because it should show activity kind of stuff. It's only okay. Let's look at the past. Okay. Oh, look at that. There's a spike. That would probably be Dylan playing with it. 21 hours ago. Look at the past week. There's not going to be many spikes. Ooh, and it looks like something on late Wednesday. That sound right, Dylan?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. Late Wednesday and late Thursday. So that's kind of cool. We have a table. We have a branch. 5-row writes of 10 million that were allowed. 75 reads of, look at that, 1 billion. Got a ways to go for that. Although storage could be a problem at some point, right? But it's working. It's kind of cool. I don't necessarily want to go in and look at the data. I think that's probably not what we want to do here, but the fact that it actually worked, I think that's cool. You set up a .env with the right information in it, and you're connected. We don't have to have a local install of MySQL. So Dylan folks are probably going to bug you, and or me, whichever one, to get that information for the .env if needed, right? So did you moved that file up, right? You moved that into the root of the project. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, it's the root.
Okay, that's good. All right, so maybe we start there. Maybe we start with looking at the GitHub and see where we're at on the different pull requests and that kind of stuff. Okay. So yeah, let's run through this. And I made a few comments, but I'll be honest, the vast majority of mine were like commas and spaces, right? So nothing too challenging in there. We have the screenshot, which I think is great, showing that something actually happened. The auth login. You'd be amazed how often we don't get that on PRs. And then semicolons, and I mean, yeah, lots of little stuff. Lots of little stuff. And then Katie's, and a question on the account kind of stuff, which is okay. And then, well, that's what I want to look at. Have you pushed anything since last time I looked? There wasn't anything pushed. No, I don't see anything pushed in between either of ours. So once he gets some changes up there, we'll continue that review. And what I would do is push it up, and then over here on the conversation, don't close those out. You could probably close the security one out if we've answered that enough now. But once you're ready, just click these requests for review, and that'll send us an email, and we can go back and look at it. Okay, Dylan?
Yep.
So let's take a quick peek through the files. So the git ignore, what's minor change there? It moves the .env into it. Makes sense to have it in there. And we deleted the backend env, and we could show this. I'm going to avoid showing this, but I think that's the one that pushed up that I was amazed at how fast Planetscale killed my codes on that one password. I mean, it was seconds. It was impressive when I accidentally pushed up the password. Okay, I'm curious why we had keys.js in there.
I originally had like before the .env.
Okay.
Or before we had any like .env, I was like, oh, well, where do I put my password for the database? How it originally was.
Uh-huh.
So I made this.
I remember seeing that and I remember thinking I need to ask a question about that, but then I forgot about it. So
I think
it says it's still here, but in your local it might be gone. Right?
Yeah, I don't see it in my local, so
I'll put it in just so that we don't forget. Okay. Then databases, just pulling from the env. Perfect. Nothing exciting there. Get rid of my fancy password for my local. Because I can delete it off my local. Yay. One less thing running. Like that. Okay, minor adjustments here, nothing exciting. I saw the encoding in the sessions and all that cool stuff. I'm just has this been tested with the front end or no? Or are you just testing with Postman at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll need to wire in front end. And maybe we'll jump into that and we'll see how the time goes. Auth. Oh, got deleted. Made at the auth middleware. Okay, good. Like that. A passport's a cool tool. I haven't used it in a while. So here's where the messaging that we've been talking about. Cool. Index as a model index. Okay. So where's the config? Okay, so you got the database config. So the pools and all of that. Did we look up the pooling and all that? Like how many connections and threads and things we could have with Planetscale?
I didn't look that up.
I don't know if I can look that up. Let's find out. So wondering in here, I think the documentation was out here, right? So we're new to Planetscale. Let's see. So what are we looking for? We're looking for max min pool, acquire and idle. Okay. So they're connecting a node. Let's see if there's anything there that makes sense. We did create a user table. Oh, that all looks familiar, right? I don't see anything on. Huh. I don't see anything on connections or anything like that. System limits, maybe. 20 on the timeout. Don't see anything in there.
Are pools kind of like sessions, or is it like a, okay.
Generally, yeah. Do you find something?
I didn't find anything, sorry.
Okay. Oh, those are Lambda connection strings. I don't think we need that. That's way outside the idea. That's lambdas, connection strings, query caching. Connection string, branches, connection strings. I know I saw a number early when I was talking to them, and I'm like, how many connections can I have? I don't remember what it is now.
Is it the 1 million? Like 1 million MySQL connections?
Yeah, it could be, but that seems awfully high. Yeah, this is not what I'm looking for.
I found a little blog post and it
Okay.
looks like it has a hard open files limit of 1024 and a function concurrency limit of 1000. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Okay.
I'll send you the blog. Just
Yeah. And again, that still seems high. I mean, it could be, maybe their system's that robust, but what are our numbers currently set to? Dylan, do you remember? And that,
Yeah, I have it open. It says max 5, min 0, acquire 30,000, idle 10,000.
but the acquire and idle is going to be a time. So it's in milliseconds, your pool max, min and max. Okay, so we could probably bump that max up. I just don't know how high if we want to bump it. I think 5 is going to be okay for now. We start to see some issues running it. We can bump that down the road and see if it'll handle it. I mean, we're clearly not in a realm where we need to worry about hundreds of users on yet, right? So I think that's okay. We'll leave that alone for now. Maybe I'll do some more research. Katie, I do want to look at that article. Chat. Where'd the chat go? Oh, there it is. Chat went over here. There we go. 1 million connections. Cool. All right. Oh, we gotta get the attendance thing too, don't we? I always go to that one, but I probably should just go straight to the sign on, which takes me here, which gets me to that. Come on. And send there. Copy. Close. And paste. There we go. All right. So looking through there, and SQLize was pretty easy to use. Cool.
Yeah.
I like when they're easy to use. And package change. So we brought the bcrypt in, the express session, the passport stuff. I think that's fine. And then the routes, and you broke the routes out separate. I think that's the auth and the index. I think that's absolutely fine the way you did that. Didn't see anything in there that bothers me at all. Looks good. So that's, quick run through. Good. And then the other one, and he's not on, so we'll talk about him when he's not here, was the dark mode, light mode. It was put together, and I'm requesting some changes on it. If you haven't followed that, okay. So right now what he's got is he's moved it over to the header as opposed to being a part of the main application layer. Okay. To me, it makes more sense to throw it into the header. And when I looked through, my only concern here was that he built a span to say dark mode. outside of the mat slide toggle. And if you look at the mat slide toggle, they always put the label inside between the tags. So I showed a way that, we can say dark mode or light mode, depending on which way they've got toggled. Okay. It is the material toggle. It's not as pretty as the one he had, but it'll work for now. We could clearly change that to like icons that change if we want later. Functionality is the more important piece. And then he wired up, and they did a little differently than I expected, but it'll work. He wired up the local storage. And I haven't commented on this yet because I wanted to think about it a little bit before I comment on it. But part of what concerns me here is we've got a lot of code because typically you don't unit test what's in a constructor. What I would do is take this code and move it into its own function that would be something like, initialize. Then you test initialize, not something in the constructor. Constructor is just calling it as a part of the setup. I didn't know if there was a specific reason on the private. That was the other thing I wanted to ask about. He is setting it on the change, which is exactly what we would expect. That's perfectly fine. I think there's my gut feel is there's a little more code here that needs to be here, but I'm not adverse to it. Okay. Yeah. So that's the core there, and it actually looks pretty good. Styles didn't change much, so then they took that background out. They did a lot of visual changes, single quote to double quote, and I'm thinking that's might be the linting that triggered that. Because I know he has the linting on, and there were some weird spacing things that probably came from the tooling. And again, the linting caught. Most of it's pretty straightforward stuff. Now there were some primary color things it looks like he had put in for the slide toggle and then took back out. Okay. No, he moved it. Again, that's probably linting.
Also, Bob, since we're
yeah.
into the themes here,
Yep.
I just wanted to say once again, like the colors that we selected as the primary and accent were based on the logo colors that we had. But there might be a time where, like, depending on what the background color is, that
Sure.
might be offensive. So please, like, I am not tied to those colors. So anytime anybody wants to change something, it's great.
Okay. But I like how his dark mode got applied. I mean, really simple when you think about it. He just did a map get, pulled the background color, pulled the text color. It was kind of cool. I liked that. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, right? So the fun part here is we can actually take that, spin it up, and see what it looks like, so we can talk about those colors if we need. Close that chat out. I need to switch over to the right project. There it is. And then I probably have to do a quick fetch of the origin and get on the right branch. Which one is this one? 36. I don't see a 36 in my list. There it is. I see it. All right, so switching over. Interesting. Why do I have? Well, I want that data, but I'm not going to worry about that. I need to think about how I'm going to do something. Hang on one second. I can't do it there. Let's see which I need to get VS Code up. I want to put it in that. Another window open. I do not have another window open. Sorry, I'm bouncing between VS Codes because I want to keep some data, but I don't necessarily want to show it on the screen yet. Copy that. Make sure it's in that file. Good. And then delete that, discard that change. Okay, good. So I got the branch. I'm on the branch right now. So I should be able to just open a terminal. There it goes. Oops. So that's where I am. I'm going to need two terminals, aren't I? I'm going to need to spin up the back end too. I have three screens, so I have to figure out which one opens it up. Oh, it's not opening a new terminal. Why not? Okay, so this way. Then, you know what? I'm going to do it the other way. Yes, we have to do it that way. All right. And we aren't going to have the full login since that hasn't been merged in yet. Was it npm run what? I don't even have VS Code open to this project yet.
Yeah, node index.js does it.
Right, that'll spin it up.
I forgot what our command was to watch it or whatever.
And in the front end, it's going to be ngserve open. Go back up to my third screen because we don't need the back end really running full time. It'd be nice to see that running.
Yeah, it looks like the one to watch, like there's start or there's dev. And the dev one does the watch.
So there it is. Not super pretty. And where'd our header go? The rest of the header's gone. Did I miss something? Thinking I need to open the code. Look at the code. Let's see what happened. Let's get the code here. Like our entire header disappeared. We had this really cool header and images and all that stuff. I wonder if he's working off. I wonder if he hasn't pulled master yet.
I don't know. Is the header in the main branch yet?
Should be.
Okay.
Thought it was. Huh. All right, well, let's go. Don't need an oops. There we go. We need to get up. I don't know, let's find out. I'm positive it's in there. It is not. Where did our header go? How did that not get merged? Oh, that's the code.
We're working on the tests.
That's
still,
the
I think.
branch I'm working on right now with tests. Yes. Okay. I get it now. Oh, so his is going to get in before mine. All right. That's where our header went. That explains it. All right. So dark mode, light mode. I don't think anything there's.
Yeah, no, it's the accent green that can sometimes be a little intense. So
Sure. I was trying to think if there's a way we can kind of mesh these two together, but it seems like a a lot of work to test that, and I really don't want to force my code through yet till the tests are finished. But all right. But I'm pretty sure that dark background is really, really close to what he had originally. I don't know if you guys heard that. Wow, my daughter's got lungs. All right, so what bugs me is it's a little thing, but it's one I've kind of learned to listen to my gut on. I'll move this over here a little bit. That scroll bar doesn't mean much, but something's causing a weird little variant in it. And I don't know, and the only thing that's new is he's got this header in here. So let's go see if anything in here. So you actually put it in as a header. Okay, so it's not wrapped in as a proper toolbar. But that really shouldn't cause a problem. I don't see anything there that's taken us past 100%. I don't know what's triggering the scroll bar. So the trick is you got to figure out where it's being triggered at. And so we go over to styles, flow, X, hidden. So something's applied to the body and it's triggering that. But I'm wondering if that's in our.
It's not part of like the slide toggle itself, is it? Like that it's over to the right and then
I don't
it
know.
just has like a
That's
little
what I
thing
was-
around it. Yeah.
That's what I was hoping to check. Apparently I clicked a little low. All right, so here's the dark mode. That's just a span. That's the matte slide toggle. It might be because of how he labeled that, but see that toggle container content doesn't seem to have anything too weird. The only one I don't usually use a header, so when I'm using material because you've got the toolbar. The flex space between shouldn't do it. Width is dynamic. Width is dynamic. Toggle container margin left. Why would we have a weird margin left like that? Where's that coming from? Oh, it's just an auto, so that shouldn't do it. Yeah, I don't see anything in there that should be causing that kind of a problem. As you see, the width's 821 on the body with the overflow turned off. With that overflow on, the computed is still 821. But we had 821 all the way down. Look at that root, that's auto. Home is auto. Header is 821. 821. That's weird. It's gonna be 820. I think it actually does calculate out to exactly 821 when you combine margin left and the width. I don't even see paddings. It's just there. Form field. I would assume if I had seen a pattern or a margin, there might be a problem. There's a label there that's not used. I think that's where, when you put it inside, it becomes a label. Handles, there's a lot, it makes this up. That might be it. There's a before. Oh, that's some complicated setup for that before. So you might be right. It might be just the fact that it's. I'm not sure what the switch before is needed for. But the way he did that is not wrong. So I'm wondering if we can give this a margin, if we can leave that alone and we take our slide toggle and add a margin right. Allow them, maybe.
There you go.
So that solves it. So there's something in the styling of a switch itself that drops to the right. That's what was triggering it. So then we can copy that. We need to do that for the matte slide toggle, although theoretically, like they'll do that at the container level. Whoa, what did I get there? That is not what I wanted to post online. All right, how do I get that out of there? Hang on. Didn't want that there. Okay, good. Let's go back to it. Inspect. And there's our matte slide toggle. So we'll put it on the toggle container. We'll add a margin right. Oh. Solves it. So I wanted to copy that. For some reason I didn't copy that. And so we need to then put that into the notes on that PR. And where does he have? There's nothing in the SCSS. So he's got that probably in styles. So that's, wait. Oh, I'm looking at the original, not looking at the PR. That's why. Let's look at the PR's code. That makes more sense than that. So let's look here. That's gonna be at the bottom of that. Container. Please add to I'll do it. No, I think the colors are probably going to be okay. No, my guess is they're going to be okay. We still got that green, still doesn't jump. That's good. All right, so if we look at our board, we've looked through both sets of code, and I think we're okay there with both sets of code. And now I remember I've got to do mine too. I'll make sure I make a note of that. Planetscale is a lot of fun. That was kind of exciting. We do need to wire up the API back end to front end at some point. So maybe we'll tackle that one next week in one of our first sessions. Or maybe we tackle back-end unit tests. I don't know, we'll see. Dylan, any thoughts on back-end unit tests?
Well, we'll have to do it, but I guess they use like Mocha and Chai, I think,
Okay,
for the.
is that the recommended with Node Express?
I think that's what I've used in the past.
Okay,
Not sure if it's recommended,
well, let's find out.
but I've seen them in some job listings. So
All right. Comparing the best Node unit test frameworks. Puppeteer, Mocha, Jasmine, WebDriver. Ooh, no. Mocha is one of the oldest and most well known. Yeah, Jest is really good at this kind of stuff. So I was kind of curious if there had been more of a shift over to Jest.
I feel like what I see a lot is Jest and then like Cypress for integration.
I'm thinking Jest personally. I mean, it allows for easier mocking and things like that. In fact, mocking out your API calls becomes really, really easy with Jest, although we're not doing many calls. Well, I know we have one. We get that JSON file. Oh no, that's a local file read, right? So we can mock out that file read and push something back. I only say it because I've used Jest more frequently. And I did some research a couple weeks ago, and my finding was it was about 50-50 Mocha and Jest. You know, Jest is closer to Jest and Jasmine are really close together in a lot of their terminology and language, and whereas Mocha is out there in a couple of its the way it does some of the things. Interesting that that's on Okta's blog site. Cool. So yeah, maybe we'll take a look at that on when's our next one? Tuesday? Tuesday. That sounds like a fun one to play with on Tuesday, right? So I got to get the basic banner done. We got that done. The dark and light is in code review. Actually, your auth is in code review too, right?
oh yep.
All right, cool. And mine will be there soon. All right. Cool. We got 15 minutes left, and I'm running out of things without jumping into code.
Should we add a card for the password reset?
Mm-hmm. And I noticed our top number is 36. Change it to 37. That has been the most useful little thing there. I'm just going to add that to the backlog because I don't know when we're going to get to that, but we'll get it in there. And I want a little bit of play with that one. I'm going to set it at 3 for now, unless you guys disagree. Basic reset. What would we say by username? Right? Because we can go find the email, send the email with a link, and which means we'll need a front end page.
Do we want them to enter both just as like an extra measure so someone can't get spammed or something?
Yeah, we could do that. We can do that. We need to set up our backend so we can send an email. That would be one that I haven't done with Node in a while, but you know, and then it becomes things like, you know, do we send them a link to a page that has a code that we know, or do we just give them a code? Hey, plug in this number and that tells us you're the right person to do this. I'm not adverse either way. You know, we're not storing phone number or anything like that, so we can't text out a reset. I don't want to make it too complicated though. So I'm wondering if maybe the thinking is the front end triggers the back end. What if we do this? The front end triggers the back end. It generates a 6-digit code sending that to the back end. Back end emails that code saying, here's your password reset code. The front end, at the point that it sends that, you sent the request for that username and email, then pops up and says, hey, what's your 6 digits? You know, it's only live for however long. We're not even going to worry about that yet, but assuming they plug in a matching set of numbers, they're just given 2 password input fields that we then can pass to the back end as a password reset. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Poke holes in if we need it. So front end generates 6. Now let's be fancy. Let's do an 8-character code. So my thought would be letters, numbers, right? And the letters will be uppercase that we send. We can receive it in upper or lower, right? Increases radically the number of combinations. Send code to backend with username, email. Backend sends if username, email match. Right? Front end display waiting for code on matched code display to password fields send backend API. So this also assumes, you know, I'm not saying what we need to create. This card needs some front end and some back end. Right? This could be a 1-person card, be a 2-person card. Just as easily. If both of you are working on the same branch, hey, I'm pushing this stuff up, you can pull that down now, try this out, kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Do we think looking at that, there might be more than a 3? Well, okay, Katie says yes. All right. Let's change our story points. 5? 8? You guys tell me.
I mean, like around 21. Just kidding.
Around 21. Sending an email is tough. Okay. I would say 5. You can convince me to go 5. Okay. All right. So backend has 2 things we'll need to do. We need a path to send a code, to somehow receive that code and email it, right? We'll need a route for actually changing the password for that person. Front end is essentially going to need a wizard, but I mean, that's really not real complicated. You're going to need your initial display saying, hey, give me a username and email. And you'll click next. It doesn't have to slide or anything like that. We can just have like 3 cards and maybe 2 of them are grayed out and the first one's active. You click next. It pings the back end and says, hey, is this a valid combination? So maybe we need to do that too. I hadn't even thought about that. So we generate the code immediately, right? So ping.
Also like disabling the login for that account, or just allowing it still if they know their password. Start to get into the weeds, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that we need to disable. We just ping the back end to see if it's valid. If it's not valid, they can't move forward. If it is valid, they can move forward, which then sends the code. So the ping should be before we send the code to the back end. Right? Oops. I'm on, there we go. Sorry, my fingers were in the wrong spot. The pinky was in the wrong spot. Is it valid? Send it to the back end with username and email. Back end sends the code. If the username email match is good, front end displays waiting for the code. Match code display to password fields, send to backend API path. Okay, so this the 3 front end cards displayed vertically, disable steps where not it. Backend now is 3 APIs, right? So we need the ping to check the username, password, or username, email, make sure it's a valid combination. We need receive a code to send an email. And then we need receive password. It might be an 8 point. I'm getting more.
21, I'm just saying.
We might get there, yes. But that's way in the backlog, so I'm not going to worry about that yet.
No, it's fun to see you walk through all the steps, because I attempted to do something on my own site one time, and then I was like, oh, I just stored the passwords not hashed, and so it's like a whole thing with just getting everything put in there again.
Yep. And talking it through with other people. Yeah. Planning sessions are fun. I always like the planning sessions. Okay, we got 4 minutes left. Anything else? I got an article to look at that Katie sent me. Anything else? All right, well, I'm going to call it a day then. I'm not going to even try and write code in 4 minutes. I think we've got some stuff planned. We got some stuff in play. You guys reminded me that I'm slacking. I'll get that in before the next class. I've been working on my courses, and oh man, I'm buried in those things at the moment. Yeah, the fans on my Mac haven't slowed down for like 2 days now. Yeah. All right, guys. Let me